All right, cool kids. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this all back. Um, well, let me ask you this: You're playing a hobgoblin. I have actually a hobgoblin character in my party right now. You're playing a hobgoblin. You see a skeleton like this come up to you. Are you gonna be intimidated? Is that an intimidating foe? I mean, it is small, but I can deal with a small skeleton. That I can deal with. A small cultist that has a really cool sculpt. I mean, the sculpt is cool. It's a nice mini. It's freaking useless for me. I can't unless I'm going to Central African Republic and I'm introducing the party to a bunch of pygmies. You know, in a real world campaign, they'd have to look more tribal, I would think. But whatever. You know, it's your fantasy world. If you had a pygmy race, that would work. I I can't see, and this is just my honest assessment. If I were making miniatures, right? Like I seriously wanted to take the miniature world by storm, and I had really good sculpts, right? Some of these sculpts are really good. Like there's some good detail on that sculpt. Oh, we'll check the durability on this. So the arm's not falling off. I'm putting quite a bit of force on it. Oh, that bent pretty good, but it didn't break. Okay, I would not. These are not made out of bonesium, but it didn't break. It's definitely a little more brittle than bonesium, but there's some cleanup on that arm. Look at that arm. Let me point to it for you. Right. Oh, I need a better pointer. Right there. There's some real cleanup there. Um, See that? It's kind of an annoying spot too. Not too bad though. Not too bad. Not outside the realms. This will all need cleaned up. I just glued it on a base to show you guys. It wasn't a permanent situation. But you notice there's some really good detail on this model. So, really good detail. I really like the goblins. I'm gonna grab one in particular that's looking at me saying, "Pull me out, pull me out." This guy is pretty freaking cool. That's a cool goblin. So I would say just for the goblins, if you wanted a unique goblin PC, this would be a really nice goblin with shaman, witch doctor, wizard, warlock kind of miniature here. Um, yeah, definitely cool. Definitely cool. Okay. And that's what we'll say about that bag. That's bag one of what looks like 6 or 7 here. Okay. Now these are the large creatures, so that we'll go there. Let's go there. Let's explore the large zone. Okay. So we got a bag here full of stuff. All right. So first of all, this is easily debunked. These are not large by any stretch. And I will prove it to you. Here is the medium, as advertised, medium elemental. Right, and they had to have known this. They had to have known. There's no way they didn't know this. Here, I'll compare fire to fire. Which, by the way, love the sculpt. Love the sculpt. Let me clear all this crap out of here. And compare apples to oranges here. Okay. There you go. There's your fire elemental. This is the Whiz Kids medium fire elemental. You see the freaking problem here? Now, this is a big problem. Now, don't get me wrong. I love the model. I think it's an awesome fire elemental. That's not the issue. That's not the issue. You want to see what the issue is? All right. Here you go. Before I don't want to leave out Reaper on the comparisons here. Here is a medium Reaper fire elemental. See the problem? I'm sure you guys see the problem, but I'm going to zoom in so you can really see the problem. Are we seeing the problem? Now these were advertised in the Kickstarter as large elementals, size large, and just because he's got a wide stance, really this model should fit in a 1-inch square. But the problem is a large elemental really shouldn't fit in a 1-inch square, should it? See the problem? See it? See the problem? See the difference between a large, and we're gonna scoot you out of the way. By the way, this is a Reaper model. This is a large elemental. This is not a huge elemental. I can pull out a huge one. This is a large elemental. There is a difference, and it is spectacular. Spectacular. Okay, but having said that, this model is not useless, unlike the Cultist. And let's compare these two. Now imagine this were 25 millimeter. I don't know that this is a large elemental even then, but it's certainly on the bigger side of medium. Now that is broken. So here we go. Oh, that's just flashing. That's flashing. It's not a flame coming off its hand. So I don't care if that's broken. Okay. Yeah, not particularly large, I wouldn't say. Now, is that, the scaling issues of today's models market? Sure. But, I mean, are ghosts supposed to tower over a human this much? Even though they're spectral? I mean, I'll tell you what, we'll be fair. Let me grab the WizKids version. Right? Here we go. Here is a Banshee from WizKids. Now this model is not big by any stretch. This Banshee is not big by any stretch. If anything, it's a little on the tiny side. Okay. We'll put it right next to the female elf because an elf becomes a Banshee. And you can see it's not huge. They're in scale together, right? The scale makes sense, right? Now, this is a human, not even an elf. She towers over him. Now, if you're going for effect and you want to scare the bejesus out of your players, yeah, have them be tiny like this and a big old Banshee comes up to him like that. But this isn't even a big, deal. This isn't huge, but I mean, my goodness. At least these two seem to fit together, right? They kind of, if you saw these two ghosts, you'd be like, oh, they're from the same universe, right? This is not acceptable. And I know I've gone on and on about it, but let's keep going. All right, we can look at the other elementals very quickly. You already saw the water elemental. Now, I do like the sculpts. I like these as medium. Yeah, medium, not large. Medium elementals. I like them as that. Here, we'll lean me against him. I like this as a medium elemental. I mean, he might be large compared to this guy. So maybe these really are not, even still, I don't know. So, but I'm saying these are 25 millimeter larges. If you told me if we were in 25 millimeter range and you said that's a large elemental, I'd question it a little, but I'd accept it eventually. But if you're telling me that when this hobgoblin sees these elementals, he's supposed to be like, man, those are really big. I'm sorry. If this elf saw these elementals, right, as dainty as she is, they aren't that big. They really aren't. This is freaking big. All right. Anyway, moving right along. We don't have to dwell on the same stuff. I don't mind the elementals because I can use them as medium elementals. I just don't like being told something's large when it's not. And quite frankly, I think the medium elementals would get more use. So I'm actually not mad about the elementals. I like the basilisk. Everyone makes tiny basilisks, I've noticed. WizKids and Reaper are guilty of this. I like this. This is a chunky basilisk. It's not large like they advertise, but it's definitely, that's a good basilisk. I like their basilisk. Now I might be in the minority here. I actually think that's a good sculpt, and I think it's a good detail on the model. You can tell what it is. Can't complain about the basilisk. Basilisk is fine. I can complain about this though. Okay. This bugbear, right, is tiny. Now, if you told me it was a hobgoblin, I'd be cool with it. Alright, well, see if you can stand him up without a base. There we go. Close enough. Alright. Do we see the problem? Definitely would make a good bugbear. Hobgoblin. Here, you can stand next to your brother. There you go. I think he's a stocky hobgoblin. And I got no problem with that. He's a tiny bugbear. But you know what? Even still, you know what? He could just be a really short bugbear. But he is not large. Not by any stretch. Not by any level of the imagination. There is no world where this is a large miniature in the... Here's another hobgoblin for comparison. Okay. In this scale. Now, in the other scale, which I have little father, may I? Yeah, he's kind of large. 25 millimeter scale. So, yeah, he's a cool hobgoblin. No, I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying I can't make use of these, but I know a lot more about D&D than a lot of people because I've been playing it so long, right? But, you know, all of this is moot because the company said they're fixing the scale issues. So we'll see. Here's an interesting model. This model. Now, I haven't checked to see how these take paint, but they feel like they feel like a good plastic. And yeah, they're not particularly brittle. That brittle thing is not a thing. So I'm not saying you can abuse these, but they're definitely on par with, say, Bones Black or so. And maybe even a little less brittle than Bones Black. Bones Black is pretty brittle. It's not, Bones White, pliable. It's not Hasbro run it over and play with it, still pliable. But it's not nearly as brittle as some have said. And maybe they just had a bad batch. Who knows? All right, this troll is not large. Okay. And quite frankly, I don't mind that because my only problem with this model is I really like the sculpt. I think it's pretty cool. And I think if it was the right size, it could be a showpiece. It could be a real standout. And instead, now it's going to be one of the minions, one of the lowly trolls that you put out. So that's my main grievance there. I don't mind the troll, though. It is not large. It is not large. But I think there are uses for it. And here's the ogre. Again, a lot of personality on this sculpt. A lot of personality. A lot of... I think I have an ogre handy. Yeah, I do. Okay. Alright. So, we're going to see the problem here pretty quickly. This is a large ogre. See how it is large and medium, large. Here's our ogre here. Now, to be fair though, let's put it up to the height of the ogre here. And as you can see, this ogre is probably the closest thing they have to actually being large. It is smallishly large. A little stubby, nubby, but I think you could make this work. But again, same problem. This ogre is really cool. He's got personality. He wants to be seen. Is he going to be seen on a base? You know, I should put him on a base. So we're comparing apples to apples. I don't want to cheat him. Okay, you see the problem. Yeah? Back that out. Oh. Hold on. I didn't file the feet. They were uneven because there's little, sprue bits hanging out. You see it? Now, if I painted up a whole party of ogres, this guy could party with them, okay? But he's not going to be Ulabog, the ultimate ogre chieftain. He's going to be Skulky, the minion, right? And that's unfortunate because, again, the sculpt is really cool. He looks bulky. He looks like a little bulldog, He's the bulldog ogre. And yeah, you could make this work. You could definitely make this work. But it's the same way I say with the Arcane Legions ogre, which is 25 millimeter. No, they're 20 millimeter, matter of fact. Yeah. The 20 millimeter Arcane Legions ogre is perfectly useful for D&D. I use it as a minion ogre all the time. Because they came pre-painted and they were so cheap and they're great. This was not supposed to be that. This was supposed to be the ogre chieftain. This is supposed to be the guy that this guy's scared of. Okay? Now, that doesn't mean he has to be way bigger than this guy. That's not what I'm saying. But he needs to be more intimidating. Okay? And he needs to be at least the same size, I would say. Right? To take him seriously. Alright, and then here's a real problem. Okay. This is not a large iron golem. No. This puny little thing would be great, right? For one of these living golems that you can use as a PC from Eberron. I forget what they're called. But other than that, it's a medium-sized mini, a medium-sized golem, or automaton of some sort. You can't really call it a golem. I mean, there's way better golems. And what's sad about it is the sculpt is actually quite nice. It's a nice sculpt. All right, that'll end part 2. We'll end it with this. This is a specific character with a lot of flashing left on it. A mimic. Anyway, find all the collectibles of your dreams while you're awake. And if you don't find them, don't blame me. Have an amazing day. And like, share, and subscribe.